Have you ever wondered that simple Washington quarter in your pocket change could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars? Today, we're diving deep into the top 5 rarest and most valuable Washington quarter dollars that have shocked collectors and broken auction records. From mysterious minting errors to ultra-rare dates hiding in plain sight, these coins are turning ordinary change into treasure. We're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and valuable modern U.S. coins, the 1979 D-era Washington quarter dollar. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a quarter worth 25 cents. Right? Wrong. Some of these rare 1979 D-era quarters have shocked collectors and sold for hundreds, thousands, and in extremely rare cases, even millions of dollars. That's right, your everyday pocket change could be hiding a fortune. We're going to uncover the history. The history of the 1979 D Washington quarter. Before we dive into the wild world of mint errors, let's set the stage. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, when it was introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, featured Washington's profile on the obverse and a heraldic eagle on the reverse. This design would remain virtually unchanged for over 65 years. By 1979, America was experiencing major changes: rising inflation, a struggling economy. Why the 1979 D quarter is so special. So, what makes this particular year and mint mark 1979 D so fascinating? High mintages with hidden treasures. The Denver Mint struck over 489 million quarters in 1979. On the surface, that sounds like a dime a dozen coin. But within this massive mintage lies a small number of extraordinary mint errors and rare die varieties. Transition period in U.S. coinage. The late 1970s were a critical period in U.S. coin production. Mistakes were slipping through the cracks as the mints tried to keep up with demand. 1979 saw a wide variety of minting mistakes across denominations, from double dies to off-center strikes to dramatic wrong planchet errors. For the quarter, these mistakes turned ordinary pocket change into collector goldmines. Rare errors to look for: off-center strikes, $3,000 to $5,000. Wrong planchet errors, $10,000 to $20,000. Clipped planchet errors, $2,000 to $3,000. Broad strikes and multiple strikes, $6,000 to $7,000. Auction records and shocking sales. Collectors love the 1979 D-era quarter, and the auction block has proven it. Here are some jaw-dropping sales. In 1979 D quarter with a dramatic off-center strike sold for over $2,500 at auction. A wrong planchet 1979 D quarter struck on a cent planchet sold for $10,000. A high-grade MS67 plus 1979 D quarter fetched nearly $7,000. The rarest examples, especially multiple striking or extreme wrong planchets, are valued in the tens of thousands, and in unique cases, appraisers suggest values could reach 6 figures or even more. Yes, you heard that right, a quarter worth 25 cents can actually sell for the price of a brand new car or even a house. How to identify these valuable coins? Now you're probably asking, how do I know if my 1979 D quarter is valuable? Here's a simple step-by-step. Check the date and mint mark. Make sure it's a 1979 D quarter. Examine for errors. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubling, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. Look for condition. If your coin has sharp details, full luster, and minimal wear, it could be worth submitting for grading. Get it professionally graded. For maximum value, submit rare finds to grading services like PCGS or NGC. Could you have one worth millions? Now, here's the golden question: could a 1979 D quarter really be worth millions? While most top out in the thousands, some experts speculate that a truly unique wrong planchet strike or dramatic mint error could reach 7-figure territory if discovered. Remember, the coin market is driven by rarity and demand. And when something one of a kind hits the stage, collectors go wild. So yes, it's not impossible that somewhere out there, a 1979 D quarter exists that could change someone's life forever. We're uncovering the shocking story of the 1980 D-era Washington quarter dollar, a coin that looks ordinary but, in rare cases, has sold for hundreds, thousands, and even up to millions of dollars. This isn't just about pocket change. This is about the hidden treasures that slip through the U.S. Mint, coins that collectors fight tooth and nail to own. And by the end of this video, you'll know the secrets behind the 1980 D-era quarter, the exact mistakes that make it so valuable, and how you might already have one hiding in your collection. The history of the Washington quarter. To understand why the 1980 D quarter is so important, let's rewind the clock. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Sculptor John Flanagan designed the coin, featuring Washington's iconic profile on the obverse and the majestic heraldic eagle on the reverse. For decades, the Washington quarter remained unchanged. By 1980, the design had already been in circulation for nearly 50 years. The coin was no longer silver, it had transitioned to a copper-nickel clad composition. Why the 1980 quarter is so special? So, why does this particular year and mint matter so much? A period of transition at the mint. The late 1970s and early 1980s saw the U.S. Mint updating equipment, increasing production speed, and experimenting with new technologies. That meant more chances for striking mistakes. High mintage, hidden rarities. With over 500 million coins produced, only a handful had serious errors. But those rare survivors became collector goldmines, collectors' obsession with modern errors. By 1980, the coin collecting hobby was exploding in popularity. Errors and varieties were commanding big premiums, and today, that demand is even stronger. The rare errors that make the valuable, double die obverse DDO, $2,000 to $5,000. Off-center strikes, $1,000 to $6,000. Wrong planchet errors, $10,000 to $30,000. Clipped planchets error, $200 to $1,500. Auction records that shock collectors. Collectors love dramatic stories, and the 1980 quarter has produced plenty. Here are some highlights. A 1980 off-center quarter with more than 50% of the design missing sold for nearly $3,500. A wrong planchet 1980 quarter, struck on a nickel blank, stunned bidders at over $15,000. High-grade MS-67 examples have sold for nearly $7,000. Experts believe a unique 1980 quarter on a foreign planchet could easily break into the six-figure range at auction. Some speculate that if an extraordinary one-of-a-kind 1980 error were discovered, it could fetch $1 million or more in the right auction. How to identify a rare 1980 quarter? Confirm the mint mark and date. Make sure it's a 1980 quarter. Look for obvious errors. Off-center strikes, clipped edges, or odd shapes are immediate giveaways. Check for doubling. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect the letters and numbers. Weigh the coin. If it's lighter or heavier than 5.67 grams, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. Seek professional grading. Send potential treasures to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. Why collectors are obsessed with the 1980 era quarter? There are 3 reasons collectors can't get enough of this coin. Rarity, out of 500 million struck, only a fraction have dramatic errors. Historical context, the 1980s were a turning point in modern coinage, making mistakes especially fascinating. Value potential, the chance that a 25-cent coin could be worth thousands or even millions keeps collectors hunting. One of the most exciting and valuable coins in modern U.S. history, the 1983 era Washington quarter dollar. This isn't just a coin, it's a hidden treasure. Some of these rare errors have shocked collectors at auctions, selling for prices that would make your jaw drop. Imagine trading 25 cents. We'll explore the history of the 1983 quarter, the incredible minting mistakes that slipped into circulation, and the record-breaking values that make this coin one of the most exciting finds for collectors. The history of the 1983 Washington quarter. To understand why the 1983 quarter is so fascinating, we need to step back in time. The Washington quarter debuted in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin became one of America's longest-running coin series. For decades, it carried the same obverse with Washington's profile and the reverse with the heraldic eagle. By 1983, the U.S. Mint was still producing quarters in copper-nickel-clad composition, a change made in 1965 after silver was removed from circulating coins. These clad coins were cheaper to make, but they also introduced new challenges like weak strikes and striking errors. Why the 1983 quarter is special. So, what makes the 1983 quarter stand out from the crowd? No mint sets in 1983. The U.S. Mint did not produce official mint sets in 1982 and 1983, making high-grade examples much harder to find. Collectors who want pristine coins from those years must search through circulation, which increases demand and value. High mintage with rare errors over 600 million were struck, but rare mistakes like double dies, off-center strikes, and wrong planchet errors slipped through. Collector hype because of the absence of mint sets and the dramatic errors. Collectors consider the 1983D one of the most exciting clad quarters to hunt for. Rare errors that make the valuable: double die DDO, $6,000 to $8,000. Off-center strikes, $4,000 to $6,000. Wrong planchet strikes, $20,000 to $40,000. Clipped planchets error, $10,000 to $5,000. Auction records that shocked collectors. Some 1983D quarters have brought jaw-dropping prices at auctions. A 1983D quarter graded MS67 sold for nearly $4,000. A dramatic off-center strike error brought in over $2,500. A wrong planchet 1983D quarter, struck on a dime blank, fetched over $20,000. Experts estimate that if a unique one-of-a-kind error like a double denomination strike ever surfaced, it could sell for 6 or even 7 figures. Yes, that means a quarter worth 25 cents could potentially sell for millions of dollars. How to identify a valuable 1983D quarter? So how do you know if your quarter is worth a fortune? Check the mint mark and date. Look for 1983D on the obverse. Inspect with a magnifier. Look for doubling in the letters, off-center designs, or strange edges. Weigh the coin. If it doesn't weigh 5.67 grams, it could be on the wrong planchet. Check condition. Sharp details, strong luster, and minimal wear increase value. Get professional grading. Submit rare finds to PCGS or NGC for authentication and certification. Why collectors love the 1983D quarter? The 1983D quarter has a special place in collectors' hearts because it's from a year with no mint sets, making high-grade examples rare. It has dramatic errors that are fun to hunt for. It represents big payoff potential from hundreds to millions. It's the perfect storm of rarity, history, and value. We're going to uncover the history of the 1984D Washington quarter dollar, the incredible errors and varieties that slipped through the US Mint, and the jaw-dropping values these coins can fetch in the market. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for in your spare change, and who knows, you might already be holding a rare coin worth a fortune. So stick with me until the very end, because the difference between 25 cents and or even a million might just be a detail hiding in plain sight. The history of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a cornerstone of U.S. coinage since 1932, first issued to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, it features Washington's portrait on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. By 1984, the coin had already been in circulation for over 50 years. Like all quarters struck after 1965, it was made in a copper-nickel-clad composition, no longer silver, but still an essential part of American life. The Denver Mint. Why the 1984D quarter is special. So, why do collectors obsess over this coin? 3 big reasons: high mintage, hidden rarities. With over 500 million coins minted, it's easy to think they're all the same. But tucked among them are rare mint errors that slipped through unnoticed. 1980s minting conditions. The US Mint was modernizing equipment in the 1980s, and with speed came mistakes. Double strikes, misalignments, wrong planchets, and more. Collector demand. Modern era coins have skyrocketed in popularity, and the 1984D quarter is a perfect example of how a common coin can transform into a collector's dream. The rare errors of the valuable. Double die obverse DDO, $3,000 to $7,000. Double die reverse DDR, $4,000 to $5,500. Off-center strikes, $2,000 to $6,000. Wrong planchet errors, $30,000 to $50,000. Auction records that shocked collectors. Auction houses have seen some jaw-dropping sales of 1980s era quarters. For the 1984D, highlights include a dramatic off-center strike sold for nearly $2,500. A wrong planchet quarter fetched over $25,000. MS67 examples of 1984D have sold in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. Experts speculate that a unique, one-of-a-kind 1984D error like a double denomination strike could spark a bidding war and hit 6 or even 7 figures. Yes, that means one quarter could potentially sell for $1 million or more under the right circumstances. How to identify a valuable 1984D quarter? Want to know if you're holding a rare one? Follow these steps. Check the date and mint mark. Look for 1984D on the obverse. Use a magnifier. Inspect the lettering and numbers for doubling. Look for off-center or odd shapes. If the design looks misplaced or incomplete, you may have an error. Weigh the coin. If it doesn't weigh 5.67 grams, it could be a wrong planchet strike. Check condition. The better the condition, the higher the value. Seek professional grading. Have coins certified by PCGS or NGC to confirm authenticity and maximize value. Why collectors love the 1984 D-era quarter? Collectors prize this coin for 3 reasons. Scarcity of errors. While billions of quarters exist, major errors from this year are rare. Historical significance. The 1980s were a turning point in mint technology. Investment potential. The possibility of finding a quarter worth thousands or even millions makes the hunt thrilling. The 1986 D Washington quarter dollar, and some of them have sold at auctions for absolutely jaw-dropping prices, so stick with me to the very end of this video, because today we're going to uncover the fascinating history of the 1986 D quarter, the minting mistakes that make it valuable, and the record-breaking auction sales that have stunned the coin world. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own collection, and who knows, you might already have a small fortune sitting in your change jar. The background: the Washington quarter was first introduced in 1986 to commemorate the 200th birthday of America's first president, George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features Washington's bust on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. From 1932 through 1964, these coins were struck in 90% silver. But starting in 1965, due to rising silver prices, the mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, the type still used in quarters today. By the mid-1980s, the Washington quarter was one of the most widely used coins in America. Why the 1986 D quarter is special? The 1986 D Washington quarter may look common, but certain examples are extremely rare and valuable. Here's why collectors love minting: volume versus rarity. 500 million were minted, but genuine error varieties are extremely scarce. The era of minting errors. The 1980s were notorious for planchet and striking mistakes as machines were pushed to maximum output. Collector demand. Modern errors from the 1980s are in high demand because most were overlooked and spent like normal coins. The rarest and most valuable errors: double die obverse DDO, $25, 00 to $5,000. Double die reverse DDR, $1,000 to $3,000. Off-center strikes, $4,000 to $6,000 plus. Wrong planchet strikes, $40,000 to $50,000. Auction records that shocked collectors. Over the years, error quarters from the 1980s, including the 1986 D, have stunned collectors at auction. An off-center strike sold for nearly $2,800. A wrong planchet strike brought in more than $12,000. Mint state 67-plus coins have sold for $3,500 to $6,000. And here's where it gets exciting. Experts believe that if a unique, one-of-a-kind 1986 D error like a double denomination strike, a quarter struck over a dime, ever surfaces, it could sell for 6 or even 7 figures. Yes, a single coin could go for $1 million or more under the right conditions. How to identify a valuable 1986 D quarter? Want to know if you might have a jackpot? Here's what to do. Check the mint mark and date. Make sure it reads 1986 D, inspect carefully. Use a magnifier to check for doubling in the date, letters, and eagle design. Look for off-center designs or clipped shapes. Anything unusual in the strike could indicate a mint error. Weigh the coin. If it doesn't weigh exactly 5.67 grams, it could be a wrong planchet error. Check the condition. The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Get it graded. Submit your coin to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. Why collectors love the 1986 D era quarter? This coin has become a collector's favorite because rarity of errors. Genuine minting mistakes from 1986 are tough to find. Historical context. The 1980s were a turning point in U.S. coinage, making errors from this decade significant. Investment potential. With some coins already selling for thousands, and the possibility of $1 million discoveries, collectors are always on the hunt.